That look familiar to you, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What do you know that guy by?
I'm not going to answer your questions. I told you. I'll listen to what you have to say, and I'll pick what I want to answer, but I'm not going to tell you information about people I know. That I'm not a cop.
Okay. Well, that's a picture of Jeff Sudan.
Oh, okay. I did not know that was that guy's name.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Now I'm starting to put it together. Okay. Now I kind of know.
Would you tell me how you know that man? Or
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to give that information. But I kind of know what we're talking about here. But I thought that those charges were dropped on him and stuff like that.
Okay. Well,
in the summer of 2015, the quiet town of Hopkinsville was about to be shaken by a gruesome crime. Mark Denklau, a reputed gang leader, was accused of the heinous acts of kidnapping, torture, and murder, with a former member of his gang at the center of it all. The victim, Robert Huggins, was discovered lifeless, bearing signs of brutal violence, a fractured skull, lacerations across his chest, and even his nipples missing. It was a horrifying scene, and investigators quickly learned that Robert had been recently expelled from the Gypsy Joker Motorcycle Club, a significant event that set the stage for the subsequent events. Mark Denklau soon emerged as the prime suspect, his connections with the club raising suspicions. The police moved quickly, and Mark was brought in for an interrogation that would eventually reveal the dark secrets behind this chilling crime.
You're with a motorcycle club. You have some affiliation with one, is that right?
I don't have any answers for questions like that.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking is that a few months back, a gentleman named Jeff Sudan, you know him? He threw your name out in conjunction with kind of a repossession of a car, or a collection of a car. Does that sound familiar to you?
No. Jeff Sudan almost might. I'm not sure about that. It seems like Sudan rings a bell somewhere, but no, collections of a car. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
The initial conversation began with Mark's motorcycle club affiliations, probing whether he had ties to a certain individual named Jeff Sudan, who was mentioned in connection with a car repossession. Mark, however, remained evasive, indicating he wasn't interested in discussing these matters.
Nicole, what else you want to know?
Okay.
Is Nicole the problem here? I mean, I know that she's had the cops over a few times, and she's had problems with the hospital and her.
Tell me about the hospital.
Well, if you don't know about it, then that's not what you're talking to me about. You already, do you know what I'm talking about? Is that what this is about?
No.
Is it about the other night?
It does involve Nicole. So
Okay.
I don't know what the hospital thing is, so if that's not part of Nicole's issues, then...
Okay.
He was quick to assert that he wouldn't be answering questions he didn't want to, although he had waived his right to an attorney, making this interrogation a solitary endeavor. The officers attempted to gather more background information from Mark, but he remained reluctant. Frustration was evident on both sides as the dialogue continued. Mark firmly stated that he had nothing more to share about Nicole, the subject of their inquiries, and questioned why he was even brought in without clear charges.
How long have you been in a relationship?
I'm not going to answer any more questions about Nicole. Okay. I don't have any more answers for you until I find out what you're talking about.
Okay, well,
you guys brought me in. I didn't bring you in. I want to hear what you got to talk about.
Well, I'm trying to get to that, but part of that's going to involve how long you've known Nicole.
Well, if you don't want to tell me what the heck I'm doing here, say so. Because I'm not going to sit here and give you a bunch of my background so you can play whatever kind of game you're playing. This is kind of stupid, man. I just got picked up and treated pretty roughly. You can still see the marks on my hands. This one was completely asleep all the way here and thrown in a complete silent room there. I want to know what the heck's going on, man.
Mark's suspicious behavior became more apparent as the interrogation progressed. He began to ask pointed questions about his detention, signaling his growing unease. His physical condition raised concerns, with Mark alluding to rough treatment and marks on his hands.
I told you I'm not going to answer any more questions about Nicole until I find out what this is about. Is this a domestic thing? And if so, what am I doing in Portland?
Well, it's kind of a domestic thing. Nicole took off in a car that she may have had purchased with assets that belonged to you, or something like that. And then Jeff Sudan and a couple other guys kind of returned that car to you. Does that make sense to you? Is that...
Or attempted to.
Hell no.
Okay.
You guys are
so why would they throw?
Well, I'm not going to answer your questions, but without a lawyer anyway. But just because I don't like the reaction. But you guys are way off, man.
Okay.
You guys don't know. I don't know who's telling you these stories, and I'm not sure who Jeff Sudan is, but I can tell you right now, nobody's ever returned a car to me from anybody ever in my life.
The police persisted, discussing Nicole and her friends, hoping to extract any information that could be relevant to their case. Mark, however, stood his ground, refusing to cooperate and reiterating his desire to know why he was there. In a tense exchange, the police brought up an incident where Nicole had been tied up and roughed up at Mark's house.
A few months before this car thing happened, Nicole was at your house, and somebody busted in the house and roughed her up a little bit, tied her up. You remember that?
You know, I can't really answer to that. You're going to have to get that story from her.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to answer to that. But I can tell you again, once again, and you're going to find out that you are completely wrong.
Okay.
Mark, perhaps sensing where this was headed, remained defiant and unwilling to provide any details. The standoff between Mark and the police continued. As the officers probed deeper into the situation, Mark maintained his silence, attempting to avoid self-incrimination.
Well, I guess that depends on what you're willing to talk to us about. You don't want to give us names, so I'm not sure how we can talk about the folks that you think we should go talk to.
I don't think you should go talk to anybody. I don't care what you do, man.
He refused to reveal any information about club activities or any potential connection to the case at hand.
You're being detained at this point.
Okay, but I'm not under arrest quite yet.
That's correct.
Okay, then I don't need a lawyer quite yet.
Okay. So,
in a surprising turn, the officers informed Mark that he was being detained but not under arrest, further confusing the situation. Mark, perhaps sensing that he might be charged with a crime, decided not to request a lawyer at that moment. Mark then delved into a lengthy monologue about the club and events leading up to Robert's expulsion.
Bagger's murder, if that's what you're talking about. Believe me, it's on the, we know on the street. We heard that the guy got fucking murdered. Everybody knows it. If you think that I had something to do with any kind of thefts or even had anything to do with the guy that you're showing right there and the car thing and stuff that day, man, you're just wrong, man. You're barking up the wrong tree. You got your stories all confused and shit. I'm sorry that's that way for you, but you definitely got some stories all mixed together that don't have to do with each other. And hopefully Nicole will straighten you guys out on that today, because it sounds like they're her stories.
Has Bagger ever been to your house?
Her stories, her scams.
Despite his initial reluctance, he was now recounting club activities and highlighting reasons for Robert's ousting from the gang.
And when he got caught for it, he blamed it all on heroin, which was an automatic kick out for him. So It's not like we found out about the heroin, we found out about the stealing. And when we jumped about the stealing, he blamed it all on heroin. That's what happened. And he got kicked out of the club like anybody would. Mm-hmm. Some people come to us and admit they smoked heroin or smoked meth or smoked coke, you know what I mean? And we have to kick them out, whether they're coming to sometimes I wonder why they come and tell us. You know, I mean, and then some guys we kick them out and then we hear they quit. They should have quit before we kicked them out.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. But we do have our standards. Some things will get you kicked right out of the club. And stealing is one of them. And heroin is definitely another one. So.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Similar rules.
Yeah.
During this seemingly endless conversation, Mark remained steadfast in his refusal to provide any incriminating information, sticking to his belief that discussing club matters was off limits.
Yeah.
So we'll get you some water. We're going to take a break for a second, and then we'll come back in and figure out what's going to happen, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I got the time at 10:43. I'm going to take a break for a sec.
Just hang tight.
All right.
The police decided to take a break, leaving Mark alone for a period of time. Upon their return, they again inquired about his need for a lawyer. Mark's decision was complicated. He questioned why they didn't clarify his charges before bringing him in. The situation had become a waiting game, with Mark unwilling to speak without a clear understanding of the charges against him.
We obviously we'd like to talk to you further, but we just want to make sure, I mean, it's your choice. If you want a lawyer, that's fine. We'll stop communicating here. If you don't want a lawyer, we can keep talking. And obviously, as the right to explain.
Then I must be going to get arrested, or you wouldn't have me call a lawyer in here. Then definitely I want a lawyer. If I'm going to get arrested, I want a lawyer, yeah.
So I don't know what your charges are going to be. That's being determined.
Okay.
There's, in addition to Nicole, there's several people that have are in front of the grand jury last week and today, this week.
Partner, just que sera, sera. I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm not really too worried about anything that anybody could say in front of a grand jury. So it ain't gonna fucking reflect on me, and I don't even care who people are there. I know what I do throughout my life, so there's nothing that's gonna come bad on me. I don't know what kind of stuff you're gonna get out of in the grand jury today, but I'm pretty sure that in hours from now you're gonna see that it's not pointing at me. You're barking up the wrong tree. So if I'm under arrest for something, then yeah, let me call a lawyer.
Okay. So like I said, I don't know what your charges are going to be. That's being determined.
Yeah, man.
So
if there's going to be charges, so I just have to sit here now and I'm going to wait for you guys to decide what my charges are going to be. What a bunch of crap, man. Why didn't you figure that out before you came and got me if you're going to charge me with something? It's pretty rude treatment for somebody who isn't charged with anything yet.
In a final attempt to extract information, the officer suggested that Mark was the only one who could speak for himself and potentially get himself out of trouble.
Who can talk yourself out of the hole you're in.
Oh, hole?
Yeah.
I'm not in the hole, man.
Well,
you guys may think I'm in a hole, but I know I'm not in a hole because have you done anything that you should be arrested for lately? I know I haven't. And so you're probably not too worried about getting arrested yourself. I may get arrested. Who knows? I don't know what you guys might try to arrest me for. I have no idea what time we'll see on that. Depends on what kind of stories you hear from junkies or whatever you've got in front of a grand jury today. But in any case, as soon as I need a lawyer, let me know I'll call one. You know. But if I'm not under arrest yet for anything, I really don't want to bother.
This plea fell on deaf ears, as Mark was resolute in his silence. As time passed, it became clear that Mark was indeed in a dire situation. It was only after a long legal battle that the truth behind Robert Huggins' horrific fate was revealed. Mark Denklau, along with another club member, Chad Erickson, were both sentenced to life imprisonment for their roles in the kidnapping, torture, and murder of Robert, a dark chapter that unfolded in the depths of the Gypsy Joker motorcycle club.